Good morning. Happy Wednesday to everybody who is here in the house. April the 2nd. We are just steamrolling through this year. I'm trying to center myself a little bit, running a little bit late. I apologize for that. We got some breaking news to discuss. Another also got we also got internet issues, but I think we may be this moment. Oh shit. Those mornings. I can tell it. I can tell. It's gonna be one. Mm-mm-mm. And I keep threatening with the Spectrum thing, and I thought we had everything worked out. I thought Spectrum and I actually had an understanding. I really felt like we was on the same page. I feel like Spectrum tripping right now. And I feel like we sat down and talked. We sat down, me and Spectrum, we had a conversation. And me and Spectrum, the tech. And I'm like, hey man. And they're like, no, I got it fixed. This is what we got to do. So I'm thinking to myself, we good. We good. We good. And now Spectre tripping. All right, hopefully we're good now going forward. If not, I don't even know what time. This crap says one freaking bar right here. I'm not even in 4K. This is some BS right now. Oh, in 12? What? Hold on, let me try. Let me try. Let me try. Let me try. Hey, that's messed up, Paul. Paul, I can see you. That's messed up. Hold on. I feel like the bars are getting better. You good? Am I good now, Money B? Thank you, Money B. Money B said I'm good now. Money B said I'm good. If I'm good, then let's go ahead and rock and roll, man. We wasted 2 damn minutes with this damn Spectrum BS. We got some injury stuff that we need to discuss. Also got some other news, small little news that I want to make sure I discuss with you guys as well. Happy Wednesday to everybody. I hope your day is going better than my internet. I need internet to do my job, but yet somehow, some way, Spectrum and I just don't get along. But hopefully, we're good going forward. Hopefully, I'm back in 4K. This morning, found out that Texas has another injury. And that injury is in the tight end room, and that injury is to Jordan Washington, the kind of rising star, aka one of the only tight ends that they have left at this moment. And I say left, one of their good ones. But Jordan Washington apparently in practice landed awkwardly on his shoulder and is having an MRI done today. You have to keep your fingers crossed as relates to what that will or will not look like. But it doesn't leave Texas with a lot as in that tight end room, quite honest with you. As I talked to some people behind the scenes this morning. By the way, good morning to you, Tracy. Good morning to you, Paul. Thank you. And I wanted to say real quick, my man Court let us all know, just another fragrance reviewer, by the way. He wanted to let us know that come next week that he is going to be in Colombia. All I can tell you is from all the bros that I know who go down to Colombia, you are not going to be watching this show next week. You will not be watching the show. You're going to be doing a lot of things in Colombia, but what you won't be doing is watching this show. Guaranteed. My man going to be setting up Venmo and Cash Apps. My man going to be feeding a family out there. He he gonna go out there and have his best life. So just another fragrance review. Will go out there and enjoy yourself. But yeah, brother, if you want me to believe that you're gonna be watching the show next week, I'm gonna tell you, you will not be watching the show. You might be telling her, hey, listen, watch this. You know, you might be translating. You might be picking out a ring, but you ain't gonna be watching me. Hey, take me with you. My old lady's on my nerves. Take me with you. I want to go. She on my damn nerves today. Last night, a couple of days. Anyway, Jordan Washington, which is interesting because, you know, one of the things that they were trying to do is one, get him into tight end shape. Try to get him down. I think he was listed at 250, if I'm correct. I don't have the roster in front of me. I believe he's somewhere around that. And they wanted to get him down somewhere between that 230 to 240 range. And now he has this injury, which really does not leave a lot as relates to the tight end room, because now you're basically just talking about Will Randall and Spencer Shannon. You know, you got to wait for Nick Townsend to get here. It's thin. It's hard out there in them streets as relates to the tight end position. It really, Ketch and I were kind of talking a little bit before the show. It's kind of, messaging back and forth. And, on Monday, he kind of talked a little bit about how he felt as relates to Jeff Banks. And, that tight end room is not where it needs to be. Just not where it needs to be when we've already have talked about Jordan Washington being in that number one role. Everyone's waiting for Nick Townsend to get there. And you're right. Oh, my bad, Chris. Hey, man. See, you're right. CH, you're right. You're right, CH. You're right. You're right. I'm slipping. You're right. I shouldn't have said nothing. He's gonna go on a great guys trip that just, spas and pedicures and manicures and all that kind of stuff. So he's just going to be out there just enjoying his best life and be doing nothing. You're right, CH. But at the end of the day, we're talking about a tight end room that really, if you're Arch Manning, you're saying to yourself, well, sure wish I had a little bit more than this. And again, you hope it's not. Look, anything that he has, it's April. So from April to August, you have plenty of time for whatever needs to be done to have some sort of recovery in there, right? So you take it with a kind of a grain of salt, even if it's something bad. You say to yourself, okay, it's shoulder will potentially recover a little bit faster than other injuries may occur, right? So but at the end of the day, there's just not a lot in that room. And yeah, Jeff Banks, hey man, good dude, seems like a good dude. Has a reputation for recruiting. But at the end of the day, his rooms have to do a little bit better. His special teams room, his tight end room. And right now, again, one injury kind of sends you a little bit into a spiral. And it hasn't really been the best week. It just hasn't been the best week. Because even if you get outside of that, you've got Ryan Wingo, who's got a hamstring injury. Now, I've heard the Ryan Wingo injury is not that major. If it was game week, that he would try to give it a chance to go. So, oh Lord, but I can tell you this much, folks. I'm going to tell y'all this, by the way, to sidebar on the Ryan Wingo conversation for a second. If Rodolfo is co-signing on Jeff Banks, it's a bad moon rising, y'all. It's a bad moon rising. And because what you don't want is Rodolfo to say you are his guy. Because if you are his guy, You are doomed. You're doomed. Damn. We can end the show right now. But but I mean Ryan Wingo has his injury. He's still recovering. Um and it just is this interesting. When I look at the offense, it is funny. I was talking to someone about this yesterday. I don't know who I was talking to, but I was talking. Yeah, someone, one of my homeboys, he called me and we wanted to talk about, he wanted to talk about Texas, and it's like, hey man, at the end of the day, Texas has some question marks on offense. Like they may not have a lot of question marks on defense, but there are some question marks as relates to the offense, and Arch Manning is still going to go through his growing pains, even though he's Arch Manning. Like he's still going to go through a couple growing pains. I'm not going to say the dude's trash. Like let's not get crazy, right? But there's going to be some throws. There's going to be some things happen. Like there'll be moments, maybe not a game like La Monroe, but there'll be moments like La Monroe. We're like, what happened? Now, will there be games like UTSA and Mississippi State? Of course, right? And that's what you're hoping for. That's more of the norm, and the lob and roll is more of the anomalies, right? But that's going to happen. Running back, you got to get Christian Clark healthy, but what do they have in the running back position? That's a little bit of an unknown. You feel good about the upside and hoping Jarrett Gibson in year two can give you a little bit more. Obviously, you have Contravion Wisner. Can he take that next step? And everybody else there. And, you're waiting for CJ Baxter and, him 100% healthy. But does that mean, I don't know at this moment. I'm not 100% sure. But, you have the questions there. You got the wide receiver room. You got some dudes in the wide receiver room, but you got some inexperience. Now, look, I'm sensing that when the portal opens in a couple of weeks, Texas is definitely going to be active. I definitely expect that they'll probably pick up at least one, potentially two, folks. And yes, by the way, Rodolfo, we love you, so don't take anything personal. Kinfolk, we mess with you. When you kinfolk, we mess with you. When you're not kinfolk, we don't say nothing to you. we don't say nothing to you. It's when we don't talk to you and ignore you and we ain't giving you a hard time. That's when it's a problem. When we messing with you and we give you nicknames and all that kind of stuff, like that's when you kinfolk, right? When you're a big boy and they call you Slim, like that's love. Man, they called me Slim when I was young too. Booby it started out with, and then when I got older, everybody just called me Slim. And my Spanish people call me Flaco. But yeah, man, when the portal opens up, and I think this is what uh what's his name he's talking about with the spring portal looming. Does the SEC still have the rules of spring transfers having to transfer out of conference? I don't necessarily believe that to be true because you had Texas get guys from Alabama and Georgia. So I don't necessarily believe that to be true there, JW, unless I've missed something. But Texas has gotten guys from SEC conferences, including last year. So there's that. And Jake, if you're just getting here, I know you were trying to get to State Farm, your job at State Farm, but we're talking a little bit about Jordan Washington and his injury, a shoulder injury that he's got to get an MRI on, and kind of go from there and see what that looks like. Again, adding into what's kind of been a crazy week a little bit with Ryan Wingo that seems to have these little things, the LASIK 1 week, the hamstring this week. And so, again, it's spring. Hell, if you're Steve Sarkisian, at this point, you're like, man, let's just shut it down. Let's just shut it down. If you saw it, like I cannot deal with this spring thing. This is ridiculous at this moment. Like this is absolutely ridiculous at this moment. What's going on? There's a couple other little things that I wanted to share with you because I got to get my car into the shop for a couple of little things. So we're going to wait and see what relates to happens with Jordan Washington. The Stanford Edge guy, David Bailey, who we've talked about a little bit, and him visiting. He is actually still on his visit. I kind of checked in on that this morning to see how that thing was going. And no one really wants to. No one really likes to talk about guys and their visits in the moment, right? It's a little bit taboo. You're almost giving away kind of state secrets when you start talking about those things. But as relates to him, what I didn't hear anything negative as relates to it. And so because I didn't hear anything negative, I'll just sit back and wait and see. But what I did hear, what as relates to him, was that hey, extremely talented. He's not a guy that they look at and say to themselves like, "Ooh, well, how can he fit in?" or "Where can he fit in?" Like they look at him as a potential impact player. It kind of falls into their lap because Stanford just kind of has that crazy, that crazy little scandal going on, a little bullying thing. They got to get rid of the coach, all those kind of things, right? And so he kind of ends up going in the transfer portal and looking for a home. But I've heard really good things as far as what he can be in his productivity, and the feeling behind the scenes is not that he can be a guy who just fills in, but he's a guy that actually could be in the rotation. So there's a lot of high hopes for him. And again, I would tell y'all today when that, and again, he's able to go in the portal now. When the portal does open though in a couple of weeks, be prepared. I can tell y'all that that's the word. Like there's a bat signal out. There's a bat signal that's out, and I think that the bat signal says be prepared for what Texas may do as relates to the portal this year. The team that you see now will not be that team. And yeah, Sandman, I hear what you're saying. If we only had Amari Nyblack, it was a Nyblack, and then who was the other tight end that they had as a transfer that came in, and there was Nyblack, and there was another Bama person before that. Was it Ben or Bo or something to that? It's contributed so little that I can't remember his name at this moment. But hey, man, listen, I'm not going to start the and the Jeff Banks, what do you do here thing. But I will say, as it relates to Jeff Banks, your tight end, your area of expertise has to be the position of strength at all times. Steve said, "Thank you, Jaleel Billingsley. Thank you, Nico." So we talk about Billingsley, we talk about Nyblack, and then you talk about the guys that they've signed. It's tough. It's tough. Like it's a tough situation here. And yeah, when you're operating off of the guys that your Jatavian Sanders and Gunnar Helms, the guys who you were left, and now you got to get your own guys. Like yeah. And again, it's not disparaging or anything like that. But yeah, if you say to yourself like, yeah, we need a little bit more from these tight ends, and we gotta make sure these guys grow and develop and all those things. Will Randall and Spencer Shannon, have been sitting in this program for a hot minute, and those are the guys who we're talking about. And the fact that we're talking about Jordan Washington and kind of in fright mode, like, damn, please don't let that thing be a huge thing. It speaks to the depth in the tight end room, and it speaks to what needs to be a focus and potentially a focus when the portal opens up, to really find somebody who's better than the guys that we mentioned, the Nine Blacks and Billingsley, who for correct, which one was it? Billingsley didn't even make it to the end of the year. Did like he transfer at towards the end of the season or something like that? Like it was, I don't, or maybe it was Black that didn't make it towards the end. One of the two who I barely remember. I just barely remember. Um, is didn't make it, that as far as we thought that they could make it. And like I said, as we talked about Will Randall, we got to talk about Spencer Shannon. Like, it's tough. I see Oscar over there. Can Arch play tight end? I don't know who else can play, but hopefully the Jordan Washington thing is not a huge thing. The other thing I was going to tell y'all that was interesting. Actually, I was going to tell you about a couple of things. Today is Texas is going to be in full pads today. So be on the lookout for that. They're not having us unless I received an email since I've been on here, which I have not. Texas is. Let me see. By the way, let me just check to make sure they don't. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not supposed to be somewhere. I don't believe I'm supposed to be somewhere. Let's see. Da 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 da. No, I'm not supposed to be somewhere today. And nope. All right, I'm good. I didn't miss anything as far as media availability. I just wanted to make sure I did not miss anything. There's nothing. Yeah, there's nothing like this week. Okay, perfect. Thank you. But wanted to absolutely say that there's going to be a padded practice today. And then there was another thing I was going to tell y'all about. I was asking behind the scenes. I was asking a little bit about Javion Osborne, the running back. And, obviously he's down to his top two, which is Michigan and Notre Dame. And, we thought Texas might be in the mix for that, but they are not. So I kind of asked about that, kind of just behind the scenes. One, told a couple of things. One, that they would have loved to have had him. So like, there's no shade there. But there's he has a desire potentially to go to other places, and they kind of wish him the well. But they also are really high on KJ Edwards. They also are high on Crowell. And they also believe that they have really good shots of getting them. And one of the things I was reminded of is that when it comes to the staff, if the moment you feel like they may miss somebody, and DeCorian Moore was kind of a thing that was used. Like everyone freaked out that we missed DeCorian Moore, and what happened? Jamie French, Khalid Lockett, Dalen McCutcheon, Michael Terry. Which, by the way, I guess technically Michael Terry could play tight end if you could convince him to do so. I mean, at this point, he can do whatever he wants to do if you're Michael Terry. But I would love to see Michael Terry at tight end. I just don't think that's the position that he wants to play. But I would love to see him at the tight end position. But nonetheless, they from the running back perspective, they feel like they still are in the mix for a lot of good guys, a lot of quality guys. They do feel like Christian Clark is, to your point, Chris Bennett, is making a lot of progress and is looking well in his progression. So they do feel like that room will be solid not only this year, but in the near future. But there is the also thought process of while you may miss out on an Osborne, there's still some other big fish that are out there. And so because they feel like there's some other big fish that are out there, they're not really 100% panicking. And again, they feel like when I talk to people behind the scenes to last night and this morning, the feeling is, one, they're going to be okay from a recruiting standpoint as relates to the 2026 class, but two, that they feel like they're going to be okay from a transfer portal standpoint when that thing opens up in a few weeks. So be in tune for that. By the way, Barry Sorrell says 2020-25 draft loaded. First of all, good to see you, Mr. Sorrell. And yes, You have something to look forward to. Now, all right. Now, Barry, I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice. I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice. Sometimes they say the word I one of my things, as I always say, sometimes the worst advice is unsolicited advice, right? Because if I wanted your opinion, I'd ask for it, but I didn't ask for it, so I'm not why you talking, right? I'm gonna give you a little bit of advice. I know y'all are hype. You have a lot to look forward to. The draft is coming. I'm going to tell you this as a guy who has covered plenty of drafts, who did the NFL for years, decades, quite honest with you, former Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. Um, Whatever you guys do for the draft, do not have a draft party. If I can give you any advice, if you're going to listen to anything I want to say, don't have a draft party. I have seen young men just crumble because there's so much pressure on them. And it's a thing that you can't control. I have been to draft parties where the guy that thought he was going to get drafted in the first round slipped to the second round. And it was just devastating to that person. I've been to draft parties where guys have walked out the party and just left because everyone's looking at them. And now it's like if it doesn't happen in second round or third round and it slips, now everybody's just looking at them. And now they feel this pressure. And now this moment now becomes kind of a dreadful moment. And that's why oftentimes when you see guys getting drafted, there's like this emotion and they're crying because they've been through this whole roller coaster and they see other guys. You're going to see other guys getting drafted at your position. You're going to think to yourself, that guy's trash. How the hell did he get drafted ahead of me? Or you're going to see a team that told you, if you're there in this particular round, we're going to take you. And then they go in another direction. And so if there's anything I can tell you, whatever you're going to do, just have you, your son, couple of little friends. And that's it. That's it. Don't invite nobody over. Don't have no cake. Do a party afterwards. But beforehand, y'all just do that. And in fact, you might be better off sometimes. And I've seen the best things I've seen is just people who decide that weekend or those days, particularly because they're not on the weekend, but those days, let's go on a trip somewhere. Just go on a trip where you're not thinking about it. You know it's in the back of your head, but just go somewhere. So when y'all get the call, it just kind of is what it is, but you're not sitting there staring at the television. So I'm just telling you, I remember going to I'm gonna take it back. I remember years ago, I went to Travis Henry. I don't know if y'all remember that running back out of Tennessee. He was from a city called Frostproof, Florida. And I had covered Travis since he was in high school. So we're talking about so we're going taking it back to like the 90s, okay? And I knew Travis in high school. Now, before Travis got to the NFL, just became a pure knucklehead, and then decided at the age of 30 or so that he was going to become a dope boy and try to sell dope at post NFL. Like all absent of that, let's just go to let's go to the draft party. Dude had a huge party, right? All the town of Frostproof is kind of at his house, right? I'm there, and I've known Travis since he was in high school, right? So I was there for all his games. So I'm basically like his reporter. So I'm there, and everybody thought Travis is a surefire first rounder, and it didn't happen. And it ended up being one of the worst parties that I've ever gone to. And everyone's like, yeah, like draft's getting ready to start, right? Everybody, yeah. And then like halfway through, you don't realize how long the draft is. It's where you just don't hear your name called. So anyway, enjoy yourself, enjoy the time. I'm not going to tell the man to go out to the Yellow Rose and have a draft party, but go out there. Y'all go have a good time. We can't wait to see when your son gets drafted, as long as with the other folks. But we definitely, and I want you the day that day after the draft. If it happened, well, if it happens on that Thursday, cool, come back on a Friday. If it happens on a Friday, then come back on that Monday and beat your chest and enjoy it because y'all have worked hard and y'all have absolutely deserved it. All right, I do not see super chats in here. All right, I gotta get out. Uh, Thank you for Spectrum for screwing up the beginning of my show, and then eventually rebounding at the end. I gotta go take my car in. Nothing, just get a key replaced, and it's taken over a month. I gotta curse out some more people. So y'all take care. Live each day like it's your last. One day it will be. And just another famous reviewer. I will